this. There it is. There's our magic voice from Zoom. And greetings all. We don't want to waste your time. People are jumping into the room, but I want to personally give you a warm welcome to this E&P sponsored webinar, an extension of E&P Reports, the vodcast series I've been honored to host for over 5 years now for editor and publisher. This is where we allow our marketing partners to come on board and speak to our audience of news publishing executives and talk about real world case studies. We try to limit these to not, somebody there, pontificating with a PowerPoint. I think it was John Meacham. I saw him on TV once say, the historian, someone with a PowerPoint usually possesses neither. I'll let that sink in for a second. What we try to do here is really focus on real world case studies, the benefits and the challenges of the different solutions that are available for the audience we're so honored to have at E&P Magazine. That being said, we're going to try to keep all conversations going on actively in chat. Now, I've programmed chat, so anybody, including the panelists and, of course, the attendees, can chat away. And I would like you to make sure you chat to everyone. There's a little pull down. It always defaults to host and panelists. Let's keep this as a lively dialogue. If we say something that you want to challenge it. If you have added information, do it. I mean, I'd love to have you turn on your mic and speak, but then this would turn into some kind of a kegger. So do it in the chat room, stay in the chat rooms, say hi if you want right now in the chat room, and we'll get started. So there we go. Now that we've had some fun and done all the preamble, I'd like to welcome my guest first from Jobcase, if I may. And, Jobcase is a major partner of Editor and Publishers Magazine. As a matter of fact, can I do full disclosure here, Rachel? I mean, we use you guys, don't we? And we are a customer, and hopefully we're paid in full. I mean, it's not a reciprocal trade agreement. We've been paying you guys for years to help us with a very critical part of our world, which is in the employment vertical. Rachel, in the years gone by, I don't know if you're old enough, I have every copy. Well, I just donated every copy of E&P Magazine. I donated it to the Museum of Printing in Haverhill, Massachusetts, every copy from 1899. But if you look at the E&P magazines from the 1990s, early 2000s, there were 30 or 40 pages of recruitment dollars. I mean, there was like 5 offices. You had a call from your site. And that was where all the money was. When you leaf through it, the display advertising was a small part, page after page after page. And then when I inherited the magazine from the owner that had it in the West Coast, they let all that die. And I really needed a partner to help us with it. So I hope you don't mind I'm stroking you there, Rachel. Thank you for being our partner at E&P. It's an honor to have you on the program.
Of course.
And your partner in crime is Kat. Is it officially Catherine, or do you prefer?
It is Catherine.
Right. Well, let's first introduce both of you. Rachel, what is your title? What do you do for Jobcase?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rachel Scudder, and I'm the Senior Partnerships Manager for Jobcase. I've been here for like 7.5 years now. Previously, I worked at Gannett, so I do have media background, and I worked in their digital employment sales center in Indianapolis. So we did all recruitment advertising. And then after that, I worked at monster.com. So it's been pretty much all recruitment advertising for my entire career. But yeah, have been with Recruitology/Jobcase for about 7.5 years now.
Kat, you're like in charge of keeping everybody happy. Do I have that?
That's my official title. Yep.
Happiness lady. No, what do you do? What is your title? How long have you been there, and your background, please?
Great. Actually, I have been with Jobcase, Recruitology/Jobcase for just over 5 years now. And prior to that, ironically, I was also with Gannett for 20 years. I worked for Gannett Corporate. I worked for a property in Michigan. And then I moved, as Rachel mentioned, to their consolidated digital employment sales center in Indianapolis. So my whole career has pretty much been recruitment advertising, all recruitment all the time as well. But right now my role at Jobcase is partnerships account manager. So I take care of folks like Lori and Joy here and act as their point of contact for Jobcase.
It's funny, but for decades, if not a century, we just decided that we were the only place where jobs were, if you want to place a job, place it on EMP's website. And that's where people, if someone was looking for work in media, they'd have to go to EMP's website, then maybe the NAB's website and the NAA's website. And there were 1,000 job boards and everybody had to go find them. And then eventually something like Google came along and started aggregating all this stuff. But then, correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, and this is why we chose you, because I did my homework. The recruiter of today is pretty darn savvy. They don't go reach out to an ENP and say, hey, I want to post your job with you, then say, who else is in that space? NAA. They have their own launch tools that will put the single job, correct me if I'm wrong, into multiple platforms. They know what they want it in LinkedIn, they want it in Indeed, they want it in Glass, whatever door. I mean, I don't know all the sites because I'm not like you, but am I correct, Rachel? That's the kind of the way it works, right?
Yeah, so back in the day it was Monster and Career Builder. Those were like the big job boards. Now there are tons and tons and tons of job boards, probably thousands of them. And so a lot of folks will use like their applicant tracking system to distribute jobs out. But with applicant tracking systems, a lot of the time it's just an organic posting or a free ad. And so they're not really getting great results from that. And so that's why a lot of folks utilize us because we can distribute to all those different platforms with budget behind it so that it actually performs well.
All right, so with your permission, I'm going to let you describe. This is your moment of truth. Do the elevator pitch. I'm going to give you 5 minutes here, and I got some slides. I may run behind you or not. Depends how compelling you are. If you get boring, I may, I may do something else. But give me the elevator pitch on why your solution. I mean, why wouldn't someone like who's on this program right now has a local recruiter who says, I just put my stuff up on LinkedIn. That's where I go. Or I put my stuff up on Glassdoor or Indeed. Why it benefits the local media company when they're out seeking to talk to those recruiters, those people are desperately looking for the right talent. Why your solution, you're proud of it, why you stayed there for so many darn years. This is what I'd really like to hear, okay?
Yeah, so basically, to put it simply, we provide recruitment vertical revenue solutions to media companies. So think help wanted, but more modernized and really effective. We've built all of these relationships with the major job boards, niche networks, social media, all kinds of different solutions. And so what we're really able to do is make media companies a one-stop shop for their advertisers. So we're creating job boards for media companies so that you have really good job seeker content on your website. And then we're also offering these job posting and job distribution products that media companies can resell to their advertisers to help, grow revenue internally for them and also just help connect those local employers to local job seekers.
So
Many
not to interrupt you, but basically, if a job seeker comes to your site and they search for something and it ain't there, they're not going to be happy coming back to it again. So you offer, I used to call it backfill. You have better terms for that now, right? But you basically say, if I go to a local newspaper website and say, I'm looking for a job as an accountant, and the local newspaper hasn't put a local job up for an accountant, at least the experience is good. I will see other potential accounting jobs that you rake in there so I can build a large audience. Do I have that right, Rachel?
Yes, yeah. So we make sure the job boards are never empty because, like you said, it's not a good experience if they come there looking for a job and there are none for whatever they're looking for. They can also search in other locations from that media company's job board. So, like you have Indy Star pulled up. If I wanted to search for a job in another market, I can do that from the Indy Star job board, and it will backfill with relevant jobs in that location as well.
So Indy's got a good platform. They can keep an audience around it, throw some banner ads up there, make money, but more importantly, become that one-stop shop. Now, for the recruiter side, correct me if I'm wrong, you got the same thing going here. The recruiter doesn't have to say, well, they can go to this platform, right, and immediately post their job not on the Indy site, but wherever else they want. I mean, they can get it into LinkedIn, Indeed. I keep using those names because they're top of mind in my brain.
Yeah.
And you partner with tons of different places those jobs go to, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we partner with pretty much if you name a job board, we probably can distribute jobs there. We have products grouped a little, we have some products that are grouped together, some that are standalone. It just really depends. But we are making these media companies a one-stop shop, and I think the biggest value is all these media companies have kind of lost their market share for recruitment or help wanted to the major job boards. So what we do is help them reclaim that market back from the job boards. There are tons of employers out there who complain about using Indeed or Zip, but though they feel like that's what they have to do. And they would much rather have a sales rep in their market who understands, the challenges that they're facing, who they are, than some rep that, sits in New York City, Chicago, or wherever, for Indeed. And so that's one of the big things that I think is setting us apart and helping set the media companies apart from these job boards.
Can I add something there too, Mike? I wanted to mention the also a value of what we offer is the targeting for your local businesses. We can decide they don't have to figure out what job board to post their job on. We have data that drives where we distribute their jobs, and we're optimizing their investment and not putting it on job boards where it won't perform, and instead spending their budget where they're going to get the most applicants. So it's kind of all done behind the scenes for them, and our local media companies can offer that service almost like an agency to their local businesses.
So let's now that we've gotten the overview of your world, I'd like to go to the Advocate, if I may. Joy, welcome.
Hi.
Joy, you're Joy Newman. Your title I think, is Classified Obituary Public Notices Director at the
Yes.
Advocate. Judy Satsoris, you're and it has been our Publisher of the Year, full disclosure.
Yes.
You are an amazing operation. We have written tons of articles about the Advocate and your growth. You're now seizing new markets in digital-only platforms, and it's just an amazing story. But your story's more local, right? You're in charge, correct me if I'm wrong, of what the heck's going on in New Orleans and that surrounding area, or are you for the whole company, if I may ask?
I'm actually for the whole company. I handle Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, and then our digital only publication in the Shreveport Bossier area.
All right, so you're doing the whole shebang now. This is
The whole shebang.
the whole shebang. Your job platform is pretty sophisticated. You're using full bore. This I'm actually showing right now, if I may, what your homepage looks like when someone goes to your job platform, and you have mimicked this in all your markets, correct? You're using Jobcase in all your markets, right?
Absolutely.
Is this this is the digital only side of your equation, but I'm assuming you're still publishing a good old fashioned print product and you're sticking in there good old fashioned job ads, yes or no?
Yes, we are.
So explain
We
to
are.
this audience, if I may, how that works. How do you how are you making that happen?
So our job board is easily found through our website. We do have customers that call in and want that print product, and with every print product they get a job case. I still call it recruitology. I'm old school. I've been with them for a long time. But they get that product to go along with it because print is great, but the digital age and getting things out there with Indeed and with LinkedIn and Glassdoor, and they've said it several times in this conversation. The Advocate and our publications are the one-stop shop for the local, recruiter that wants to post on everything, and then to be able to take their print dollars along with their digital dollars and put it in the right spot to get them the results. The partnership with Jobcase helps us do that.
So you actually have people that are doing the heavy lifting for the recruiters. I mean, if they call in, you're going to go in there and post the job. We do that too, by the way. We do have some old school. You just say,
Yes.
I want to put an ad in E&P. We gladly do that because it takes what,
Absolutely.
like 45 seconds. The tool, back end tool is so easy just to populate with jobs. but then you will upsell them. I mean, is there a sales process going on here? Do you say, hey, how would you like to be here? Because if you go into like I'm going to put this on the screen again. I know screen sharing is coming and going. I hope it's not making anyone a little dizzy. But here, I mean, you offer, like we do, 3 different levels of job, the basic digital offering, and but then
Yeah,
from,
and
go ahead.
well, what's great about this is that, some employers, they're, everybody's time is precious. They can go in here and they can choose one of these packages on their own. Everything is done through our website on that, and they can post that and monitor it and know that it's going to be taken care of. If they look at those packages and they're saying, I may need a little bit more attention, or I want to know more about different job boards. We have, veterans job boards, nursing job boards, teaching job boards that, maybe they want to be a little bit more specific. We're actually getting lead phone calls from people going to this website and looking at this and calling. And I have a great team who can say, hey, I can create something very specific, very, very much for what your needs are. And then we fulfill that for them and have the confidence in knowing that they have a budget behind it. It's going to go, and they're only going to get, on the sites and on the job boards that get them the results that they need. That's what's great about it.
Now, how much outbound selling are you doing? Is it demand driven mostly? It comes in the door, you get the lead and work it, or are you calling actively top businesses in town, recruit HR managers? Do you send emails? Let us know about how you're growing this platform above and beyond just being the voice of the city and saying, here's some links, here's some ads, go check out our job board. How many people do you have dedicated to it, and how successful is it, and all that, please?
I have 2 people in the Baton Rouge office that are dedicated to it. I also have a representative in the New Orleans office who goes out and visits the clients face to face, and who's a lot of the revenue that they bring in is through recruitment. Um, it's we've also done email blasts to our dedicated email subscribe companies that have that, and we've sent out emails to that to let them know, hey, you know, we we also offer a one-stop shop to help you with all your recruitment needs as well. And so we've had great success and great response with that.
Kat, let me clue you in, if I may. You have the honor and pleasure to make sure that Joy's team knows what they're doing. I mean, I'm assuming they know what they're doing,
Yeah.
but this is not a standstill thing. I mean, thanks to AI, you guys got to stay cutting edge, right? I mean, you're constantly advancing the product. It changes hourly. You add different niches. That's what I call them. I mean, people come into our job board and say, I want diversity, and you got that. You can click, I want
Correct.
diversity. I want college kids. I want this, I want that. And they can find exactly what they want. How do you keep the team trained? How do you keep Joy's team motivated? If I may be
Great.
so bold, please let us know.
Great questions. So we work with Joy and her team and with Lori and her team, and we identify with each partner where their specific training challenges are. We obviously do a big kickoff training, and we do product training and sales training, but then we really work one-on-one with custom training for their specific needs. What are they struggling with? How do we help them with that? We'll also offer training webinars monthly. We'll do a product training and a sales topic training like prospecting or something like that. And then we'll have in our partner portal, we also have the ability to let them on demand go to training videos as well. So we try to customize. We offer some standardized things, and I don't know if we're going to talk onboarding and stuff later, but we'll get into more detail on
we
that.
are.
But
We'll
both
give you that.
onboarding and ongoing training. And then also as an account manager, a partnerships account manager, I can hop on a call with their sales rep. I'm doing that later this afternoon with a partner where the sales rep isn't quite comfortable with some of it yet. They're newer. So we'll hop on sales calls with your team as well.
This is a hard question, but I want to pose this to Joy because I had this experience when I explored my job board. And with your permission, Rachel, I'm going to share our job board later. May I? Because I'm very proud of it,
Yeah, of
especially
course.
with the way I'm using your RSS feeds, if you don't mind, and brag on that. And, and I partnered up with Pointer on it and local media association, America's newspapers. I mean, I've taken this thing seriously, but when I went to my wife, who's the boss, I mean, Robin's not just the editor in chief, she's also the accountant. Do you understand? I just look at sales. But I look at expenses, and she said, "Why are we paying this company? Just do a job board." I said, "No, you don't understand the ecosystem. If I don't have this, I'm not going to be able to get the recruiter at McClatchy to take me seriously. I'm not going to be able to get the recruiter at Adams. You see what I'm? Because they are sophisticated people. I got to sell them on the right tool. Joy, this costs money, and I know you are a P&L person. I bet you sit in front of a boss, and are you making a profit with the costs that Rachel's company has? I mean, because all your listings have that added reach of Jobcase. Is it worth it? Is there enough profit at the back end? And that's what many people sometimes say. I don't know. When I put on these solutions, I'm paying off more for the rep and for the technology. What's left on the table for the profit? So how is it going? And if I may ask, and you can say, Mike, it's none of your business, but Joy, how is it doing?
I'm not going to spit out exact figures, but I will say that we are a partnership. Before implementing with this vendor, the process was very fragmented. And in coming together, it streamlined this process along with what we call a share, where every month, especially with the online, I can monitor at any time, which is great, is that they have a portal that I can go into and look at and monitor and see all the jobs that have come in through our job board. I can see what the wholesale rate is, which is what Jobcase is charging me, and then what my partner revenue is. I'm gonna be honest with you, there's not been a month that I haven't put money in my pocket.
That was well said. Rachel, what is the average? And again, I mean, I don't want you to, what is the average markup? I mean, how profitable are these job boards? May I ask for media companies? Laura, you've been so patient. I see you nod your head. You're going to be the star in just a few seconds. Hum to yourself, check your email, whatever you want to do. But Rachel, because you're the one that has to set these deals up. And you're selling up the line, right? You got to go all the way up to CFOs sometimes and CEOs and justify this. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we let the media companies have control over their margins. So we will give rates, and then they are marked up by the media company. So if most of the time we say double the rate so that you're, making at least 50% markup. But if you want to triple it, or we have some markets that do more, you are in full control of how much your margin is. So that's one thing that's really nice. You can kind of price it as needed in your market and for your employers.
What I like about the deal is if I don't make money, you don't make money.
Correct. That's how it is with everyone. Yeah. If you guys don't make money, we do not make money.
Right. So you take a leap of faith with me. You didn't, maybe, I don't know how your deals work, but with me, I didn't have to pay you a large setup fee and sign this huge contract and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you said, and you worked hard. You set up my job board for me. You customized the art. You came back and forth. You had a team sending me the mock. Is this good? Is that good? And then when I wanted to play games with RSS feeds and start segmenting them, you guys were able to provide. The tech team was there, and you did all that without one dime in your pocket. Is that the normal way you start these for a media company?
Yeah. So everything is obviously every single setup is different, but there are a lot of custom things that we do for partners, and we go back and forth and make the board how you want it, give you the info you need. If you need widgets, we have widgets. Do the RSS feed if you want to, send out jobs in an email or something like that. So,
okay, so let's go to Lori now. Lori, before we start discussing jobs, I want to talk about Ogden. We love your company. Again, we write a lot about you too. You're not a company that stands still. You're also a company that's growing.
Absolutely.
Right. But you live in West Virginia, is that right?
I'm in Ohio, but our corporate office is in West Virginia, Wheeling.
Okay. Tell me more about Ogden, just for those that may not know how large and small, where you're located, what your scope of your job is, and all that, please.
Absolutely. I'm in Ohio. It's hard to believe in September, Ogden will be celebrating 135 years. We have 115 daily weeklies, family owned, great company to work for. Some of the things that I do, it's ever changing. You know how that is. You start out, you're an ad director, you become a publisher. So I've been doing this end of what I do every day for about 9 years. I work with all the big box stores to do their contracts, obviously launching new partners, such as Jobcase, working with, our team leaders, what can I do to help? How can I help on the back end? So very, very busy and exciting.
You moved around a lot. No, you haven't.
No, I
You were at
haven't.
the
I've been with
same job for 31 years. But
actually 41.
you
41.
started,
I was 12.
I was about to say, you were like 8. You
Yeah.
stayed at the Times leader and then just went up the line with Ogden. That's so odd in our industry.
Yes.
Congratulations. But that also
Thank you.
means you really know your market, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I
And
do.
was that hard for you to go up the line and have someone else take over the Times leader? And
It was, I'm not going to lie, it was my hometown paper. It's
yeah,
where I started my career taking classified ads. So yes, that was difficult to walk away from, but I think the beauty of, what I'm doing now is you still have constant contact with all of those people, whether it's a publisher, whether it's the ad director, or someone out in the field. So you never lose touch with, the paper you came from.
you sent me some examples of the job. Okay, again, your responsibilities are different than
Correct.
Lori's because you have all revenue responsibilities. I mean, this is just one
At some
facet.
point, I'll mirror what Joy said,
Yeah, Joy.
but
Yeah.
I think mirroring what Joy says speaks to what a good partner Jobcase is. We were with two other vendors, because I won't call them partners, vendors at that time. Um, and Roxy, Rachel were very patient. I think they stayed in touch with me maybe quarterly for 4 years. And finally, that's not our paper.
Oh,
Finally,
sorry. I
that's
thought,
okay. That's
okay,
in Pennsylvania.
right.
Finally, after some dissatisfaction and the other industry partner we were using, we made the jump. They made it very easy. There you go. Rachel and her team, I mean, from John to Sky, I mean, all the people on the back end brought us to life, helped with the job boards. They did all of the promotional ads I sent you. They did that for every one of Ogden's newspapers. So our papers did not have to design them. Here, we would send, like, I think there were maybe 12. Here's 12. I can't say enough about what they do on the back end to make this such an easy transition.
We're halfway through our journey. If I'm not asking the right questions, if our audience is frustrated, you want something now, I want to ask both, if I may, I'd like to ask both Kat and Rachel to keep an eye on the chat room. But for our audience, please go into the chat room, jump in, say, hey, we had a lousy experience with job boards, we hate it, or we're doing one, is it the right way or the wrong way? Start your own dialogue in there or ask questions of our group, and we'll make sure they get asked if I'm not asking for the right questions. Now, Laura, I want to ask you the same question I asked Joy. What is the sales process like? How savvy I mean, Joy's selling in a big city, New Orleans. See, I say that right, Joy, New Orleans. You got some small markets. Are those HR directors care about stuff like this? Go ahead.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I think, again, I'm going to kick it back to Kat, but I think that's what made our team successful. You don't just flip a button and jump in. You had 8 weeks of in-depth training, going through, obstacles, how to prospect, start to finish, how to use Jobcase, how to sell. Here's some scripts on if you're emailing somebody, if you're calling somebody, here's how to open the door. So from, the smallest of smallest markets to, Frederick, everybody is having success. And I think it's because of budgeting. We have different budgets, from a church that's looking for an organ director or, to a company that's looking to hire a CEO. We have something in our bag of tricks or offerings that can help anybody. And I think that's what's making us successful.
How's your sales process? How much outbounding are you doing and
You
reaching
know,
out to HR managers, or is it coming in direct?
I think it depends market to market, actually, Mike. Smaller markets it's a little tougher to get into, break through the gatekeeper to get to the CEO. But, everybody makes outbound calls. The inbound calls, again, we've all touched on that. I want to call Lori Fragurski because I know her. She knows my market. She can help me. She's going to help me pick the packages to provide the best solution and traction I can get. And I think that again is what's helping us be successful.
I was impressed with the amount of detail you gave me on some of the scripts you issue out. Did you get help from Kat on this one, or is this all
Some
you?
of them we did, and some we did on our own.
Okay, but
And it's feedback from our teams. Our teams are out, in the trenches every day and do a wonderful job commuting back to Kim and myself of here's obstacles. Hey, what do you think about this? Oh, can we try this? And we try to put something together, get them out, here's a script, try it. Here's an email. You can blast that out. So it takes a team. Everybody
I don't want to
together.
put you on in a tough position, but would you have any interest in allowing us to share some of these with other people if they request
I
them?
don't mind at all. Not at all.
That's very cool because it takes a lot of work to go through all the objections that the sales reps get and then work on the perfect. Oh, Kat, you're nodding your head. I think this is your bellywick. Am I right, Kat?
It is.
Talk to me.
Actually, what we learn is certain things tend to bubble up as common objections, and we can easily address those and have training calls about those and scripting around those. But then every once in a while, you'll get a doozy that the team will just reach out to me and say, "Hey, here's what my customer is saying, help," And so then we work on those specific instances with that team, with that rep.
There's a question in Q&A that didn't hit chat, so I'm going to bring it up if I may. This came from Michael, my name. How do you determine price for sponsorships for job boards in a market? I'm sure you are in a major market. Okay, so Rachel, you do hundreds of I mean, you got a lot of markets, and you're doing big companies that have small markets. So
Yeah.
you have a good feel that you can suggest the right pricing. I mean, correct?
Yeah, and honestly, everyone is different. So we have some market, like we have, for instance, I was looking at, I think the Toledo Blade the other day, and then I was looking at Chicago Tribune, and I think that Toledo has their pricing higher than Chicago Tribune does. And, then there's other markets where it's opposite. And so it really just depends on how you want to go to market. We make suggestions, but at the end of the day, it's the media company or the newspaper's final decision. But we definitely help.
They actually, I'm going to brag how well you actually set me up with the e-commerce system too. You took care of all the coding, and when the people at the commerce company, I don't remember which ones we're using, started asking me those nerdy, geeky questions about site keys and all this or that, you just took over
Yeah.
and set me up. So I get automatic payments. That's what I love.
And I may not know the answers to the techie questions, but our smart people do. So we pass.
Yeah, because I mean, half of my revenue from my job board is DIY. It just comes in. I mean, I just got an email right before this where I just made a buck, because we promote it properly, just like the others do. And we get a lot of leads that come in, but the other half we work on. And we build I mean, Kat, you're nodding your head. I built an entire job program around our job board that included banner ads and a landing page that linked into the job in the job board. And I found a CEO for a major company. I became a headhunter. Is that uncommon?
No, it's not. And I think actually what you just said, we are one piece of what Lori and Joy offer. The media companies have so many tools at their disposal that you can couple with what we do to truly become that I keep saying one-stop shop. Everybody does, right? But you can help them, promote their business and find people to work there. So it's kind of everything all in one for you guys, for the media companies.
We got a question from Sean in chat. Do any of your markets have success with one dedicated recruitment sales rep? I have. It's sometimes nice to have a focused person. Joy, you can speak to that, right? You have dedicated people, correct?
Yes, I was gonna type, but then I forgot that I can speak. But but yeah, I mean, we have a dedicated sales rep in the New Orleans area. That market is our bigger market with our recruitment needs. And she goes out and she sees face to face, and we're getting hospitals that have hundreds of job openings on there. And we see some very high dollar sales from having somebody that can get out there and meet with them face to face, just like a regular advertising rep. And we are looking hopefully to get something like that for the Baton Rouge area as well. And then in all of our markets, it's nice. Our customers, they like to see face to face. Sometimes to know that, hey, you care about us, you're real, you're going to come see me, and to be able to show it in front of them, talk to them, it works out great.
Seth, Sean, excuse me, and I like Sean's question. He said, "Whoops, I meant without a dedicated rep." Okay, let's talk about that, Sean. I run a very lean operation at ENP. I mean, I joke with Robin. Everybody talks about nonprofit journalism. We are nonprofit journalism. So we put every dollar we make back into our, to supporting the industry. This is a labor of love. I am the dedicated rep right now, which means I spend an hour a day combing LinkedIn. You see where I'm going and looking for someone. I already have, but it takes me, I have a cup of coffee and I already have the email crafted. All I have to do is just change the subject line. So yeah, you can do this by dedicating am I right, Kat? I mean,
you
it's
are,
not
and
brain
actually,
surgery and you're not
yep.
you're not
Well, our
like knocking
partners
on
are set up
doors.
differently.
What?
Yeah, we have partners who have dedicated employment sales centers or dedicated reps. We also have partners who the same person is selling a garage sale ad that's selling recruitment, and it can come in all forms and shapes and sizes. So we have large partners, small partners. Yeah, it's kind of all across the board.
Rachel, the best question. I love it. Whenever, how I told you when we were planning this that you have most of our audience, because that's just where the industry is a lot of small, incredibly talented people just trying to find that sustainable model and support their community. So we've got one here from the Newbury News. You have rural papers,
Oh,
right? This is not just for cities.
yeah.
People are looking for talent all the time, right?
You ever heard of Decorah, Iowa?
No.
Yeah, tiny, small rural areas. We have big corporate partners. We have, papers or media companies that own multiple papers, media companies that just own one. It's a big mix. The funny thing, and I always tell people this, is these smaller rural areas tend to honestly do more volume than like the huge metropolitan areas. And I don't know if it's because there's just more competition in the huge metros, or maybe the team structure, but yeah, we have a lot of rural markets and they do really well.
The salesman in me says that if I was a rural market where the pickings are thin when it comes to the advertising side, Main Street may not be the way it used to be 30, 40 years ago, duh. And strip malls aren't as populated as before. We all know that changing the landscape, you're going after in the advertising world, and I hope I'm not stealing your time, Rachel, you're paying for this. But in the advertising world, in the old days, retail was a big part of it. Now it's service-related businesses. You're going after healthcare, you're going after insurance, and then getting in those, okay, Lori, you're nodding your head. And getting into those decision makers is hard. The neat thing about selling this is there are businesses in these small rural areas that need to recruit that don't sell anything locally. They're just like this little manufacturing thing out there making cabinets in a strip, in a manufacturing park that has 30 or 40 employees looking for another 10. And they love the idea of using you, correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, as the way to get the message beyond the town. And we also used your job board to recruit for Cherry Road. Cherry Road wanted to launch a paper in a very small town. And we put up ads and did a job opening that said, no hedge funds here, work for a family. And, a house there only cost $175,000. So it's like, you can live like a king, love this town. Am I right? So these rural areas are actually fertile places. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are businesses in these places, industrial parks, um, even a lot of these small towns will also do like more regional advertising or reach out to businesses outside of their area. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of opportunity.
Laura, you've been nodding your head, so I know you want to jump in. See, I can
I
feel it,
do, I
Lori. I can
do.
read
You
you.
know,
And
and I think it's important to the gentleman, I think it was a gentleman asking about small markets. When you meet with Rachel and Kat, they take the time and talk to you about your market. Even if you're with another partner like we were, we brought some of those packages over so that it helped our sellers, get into the groove, learn everything. So they will modify custom build packages. And, as they said, from the job boards, maybe somebody can't afford programmatic. They still have an abundance of job boards to drill down and get that client results. And something nobody's talking about. So I got to throw it out there. I think they're very modest, but they offer all of our sellers fantastic spiffs straight from Jobcase to your seller for selling their product. I know that it's pretty much unheard of, and they really compensate our sellers very well.
wish they did
So I
that
want to
here.
say thank you, and that's a big piece. That's a big piece.
Kat, what is it like to train in rural markets? This is not hard, is it? I mean,
It's the same as training in big markets, right? We just have to we take a look at what is the composition of their, their locale, and how can we customize messaging and create appropriate packages that drive business for that size market. So
excellent. All right, so I'm going to brag a bit. Rachel, may I show what we're doing at E&P? Because I think if you don't mind, it's your show.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Are you okay? So here's I'm going to brag a little bit, but way back in 2003, I worked with a company called the New York Times Regional News Group that doesn't exist anymore with Nitrig, and I invented a product called Top Jobs. Now, you guys are all too young to remember this, but back in those days, all internet was at work. That's why Cyber Monday started. You home, you had dial-up at work. They gave you, wow, this is cool. I have a cable coming to my computer. It's faster. So everybody shopped on Monday after, that's how it all started. We used to call it white collar crime on steroids. But when we analyzed that audience, we did it in Carolina, we said, wait a second, if these people are at work, this is a prime target to poach them. In other words, you could put an ad on the front page of the newspaper website for a job, and it became the #1 click. And Morris took it over and made like 1 year, like $600,000 on Top Jobs just by, upselling the advertiser for an extra $50 or $100. We'll put your ad on our website, thus going after the passive job seeker, the person who is underemployed or underutilized. I believe that newspapers, I'm going to pontificate for a second, should be doing this immediately again because that's us. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is us. We have an audience. And you have someone who's having trouble finding an accountant in town or finding someone, you can put an amazing campaign together. Maybe you disagree with me. So Rachel, I was going to show off, as you're seeing, I have partnered my job board with America's Newspapers, Local Media Association, Pointer, and E&P. But our value proposition to our advertisers is, well, can I play a video real quick, Rachel?
Yeah,
And let me see
definitely.
if you don't hear the audio, let me know, but I'm going to try to play it right now. I don't hear any audio. Let's see. Testing 1, testing 2. Oh, sorry. Never mind. I'm going to stop it now. That was the wrong video. If you go to my job board, you will see that I have a 2-minute video that explains we're helping job seekers and those who don't know they're looking find you. And we've externalized those jobs. In other words, using an RSS feed. If you go to the homepage of E&P, you scroll my jobs. If you go to the homepage of Pointer, you scroll my jobs. And what I'm doing is I'm externalizing them. You go to the homepage of America's Newspapers, there they are, Local Media Association. So I'm not just saying to the recruiter, look, I want you to place your ad with me because I'm going to get it on Indeed and I'm going to get it on LinkedIn and I'm going to suggest all the ways you're going to get there in front of those active people seeking. but maybe there's someone who's just not happy or just doesn't know your job's there. We're also going to place it in front of these job seekers. Every day in my 12 noon newsletter that I say, that number's wrong. That's an old slide, 36,000. And we get, up to 15,000 opens on these a day. Those are my number one link clicks. Did you know that, Rachel? Because people scroll down to see the positions that are available in the industry. Why aren't more people doing that? If I owned a media company, and am I just being ridiculous here, or should people be exploring? Because that makes you better than the headhunter. You already have the way to find those candidates. Am I right, Rachel, or am I overselling this?
No, I think that more people should be doing this. We've had I feel like lately we've had more people asking about the possibility of doing something like that. But yeah, more people should be taking advantage of it.
And it's so simple to do. Once you have an RSS feed, I mean, we use a tool if anyone wants to reach out. So it all happens automatically. I do nothing. I mean, the latest job, when people post it, automatically feeds to my website. And it just happens. I don't have to do anything. And it just happens just like that. I think people don't use RSS feeds quick enough. I mean, they don't take advantage of that to push their content in other places. Now, I don't know, Lori, if you or Joy do any of those kind of programs, but you understand where I'm going with this and the value proposition it could be. Just consider it. So we're getting near the end of our journey, just a little under about 10 minutes left. I want to go to onboarding, Kat. This is your show now. You asked earlier. You'll be flipping that letter, Kat. What is the process? How do we get someone started? How hard is it? My job board, I think, took 2 weeks. I mean, tops. But go ahead.
You're a unicorn, I think. I'll take the beginning of this, and then I'm gonna kick it to Kat for training. So it depends. So typically, what we would want to do, like we had someone in the chat ask, how do we get started? So we would want to schedule a probably 30-minute call with you just to talk through your market, your setup, what the partnership looks like, and then we would be able to get you all the information that you need, answer your questions, those types of things. Once you decide that you are ready to move forward, we would schedule what is called an intake call. And that intake call is with John on our team. He's on the product side. And what he does is walk through all the steps and then the assets needed to build the job board. So hero image, logo, those types of things. If you guys get us the assets very quickly, then it's a really quick setup. Like for Mike, 2 weeks to set the job board up. If we get the assets we need right away, we can typically do a job board within a couple of weeks. If it takes a little longer, it may take a month or so. It just depends. So we've launched people in a week, 2 weeks, and then we've had people take a month or longer to launch, just depending on the process and the items that we need. Once we have everything created, we'll send you a mock-up. You can approve that or tell us what changes you want to make. We'll help you with doing the technical pieces of it to link it on your website. And then that's when we typically get training scheduled. And Kat, I'll let you kind of talk through the training schedule.
Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, for kickoff, we want to make sure that your team understands what's happening, what's available, what they're going to be pitching. So we do a series of training calls. And for, different partners we try to work around your schedule, your teams but we cover the same topics. I know with Ogden, I think we did maybe an 8-week training call where we had multiple sessions, as well as open office hours, where we were just online. If they had questions once they launched, we were able to do that. But the onboarding training would be product training, sales process training, and partner portal training. How do I fulfill this stuff? And then we do those office hours, and then we have ongoing training that I mentioned a little bit earlier as well.
And you do help with the promotional ads and everything else. You gave me the copy I needed to build the page, the suggested copy. You have videos that explain the products that we embedded on the pages with no problem. I mean, it was really much, you just gave me a buffet and I kind of pulled off what I needed. And every time I asked you for best practices, you would send me a link right? When I had a question, I said, well, how do I get this message out? You say, well, look at this page or look at am I right? So it's kind of like
You are, and part of that building your job board comes with what we call a marketing page, which is just a bunch of information about every product that you have to offer. It's client facing. You put it on your website and customers can look at it, but we build that. It's all branded to you. So it's not like your customers are thinking they're buying stuff from Jobcase. It's all white labeled to you guys.
all right, so let's go back to our hopefully happy customers of Jobcase. Joy, you were first. Were you part of the onboarding experience with Jobcase? Did you make the call to bring him in, or did you inherit it? And how did it go? And I mean, be honest. We're not asking you to blow smoke here. How was the experience and all that and more working with this company?
Before when I've been with the Advocate for going on 6 years now, and we were not with Jobcase whenever I was there. So I have previously worked with Jobcase at another newspaper, so I knew exactly what I wanted and what I needed. And so um, going through the onboarding process, I have to tell you, I mean, I've gone through onboarding processes for different vendors for different things, and this is really just one of the most simple things to do. They have their stuff together. They're like, okay, here's this list. I need your background image for your job board. I need, this, and then it's if you have it, it's right there. And you said 2 weeks. I think ours was maybe 2 or 3 weeks as well. That's how quickly and efficiently and just professional looking. It's all so very simple and easy to do.
Link to watch the building go on. So when I was unhappy with a color or not unhappy, just made a suggestion, and then the team, whoever was building it, the nerds or whatever, you got there, Rachel, just made the changes or they made suggestions and you're laughing at me, Kat. I'm sorry.
I'm just laughing that you called John a nerd. I was about to slack him and say, "Hey, somebody just called you a nerd on our webinar."
They have very nerdy people that live, breathe, and eat these kind of things, and that's what's important. Okay,
We've made
Lori. Oh,
changes
go ahead.
even after we've made some changes even after the launch here recently in the last 6 months. And we've sat down with Kat and Rachel and said, hey, this is our idea. What do you think about this working? Or do you have other markets who are implementing these kind of, whether it's marketing, email blast, how things are set up on the website? Like for instance, one of the things was the three online packages. Should we list them from the highest dollar to the lowest dollar? And they allowed us quick and easy to switch it around and to see where we were getting more response from. So I can't speak enough as to the great customer service and how quickly things are taken care of.
Laura, you alluded to a switch, right? That you had a previous vendor, and then when was that and what was it like?
We launched and went live May of last year with Jobcase. Prior to that, it was clunky. The portal didn't work at times. Customers weren't getting results instantaneously when we made the switch. And I really believe it's due to the training, the best practices they give you. Hey, making sure that, if it's going online, it has your recruitment has, 150 words, so it's not denied from a site. They teach you all the little nuances so that you can get the results for your clients. But the transition was easy.
What? This is your moment, elevator pitch. If I am interested at no risk whatsoever, because if it doesn't work, I mean, I don't have to pay upfront a lot of money. It's a win-win-win scenario. What do? Do they email you? Do they go to your website to give us the way to get on board?
Yeah, so they can reach out, email me. We would set up that quick call just to talk through. And the reason we do the call is I want to understand what's your market look like? How many publications do you have? What is your team structure? Those types of things. And then I know that there are questions about setup and what if I don't have a dedicated rep or, whatever it may be. So we always go through those things. But yeah, just shoot me an email. We can set up some time to chat. If anybody on this call is interested and they're going to be at the LMC conference next week, I will be there. we can chat in person. But yeah, it's just that simple. Shoot me an email.
Would you put your email address in the chat? And would you
Absolutely.
tell us audio now? What is your email address, Rachel, if you may?
Yes, it's rscutter@jobcase.com. So
R
just
Scudder, SCUDDER at jobcase.com. Kat, do you take emails and contacts if people have questions about training and stuff?
I'm happy to do that. I'll put mine. Mine is khaddad@jobcase.com too.
Haddad, if they can't see
Yep.
it on the screen. K had it. So now I know the naming conventions of your email, so I can email anybody in your company if they know their first and last name, right?
exactly. Yeah.
I want to thank our panelists. You guys have been great. Lori and Joy, again, you weren't paid to do this. You came out of the goodness of your heart because you love these ladies and the work they're doing for you. And thank you for your valuable time and your insights. Any final things you'd like to say to the audience, Joy, about whether or not, if they're sitting on the fence to do a job board, whether it's with Rachel or a competitor, although you obviously prefer Rachel's product. Any final thoughts, Joy?
I think that if you want something that is very simple and seamless, a great team to work with that cares about your success, that Jobcase is a vendor that you definitely need to get in touch with and talk with. And I think that you'll find that they'll help you to meet the needs of your business and your clients. And I appreciate them. I'm out emailing us like Kat and I email all the time, right back at me and Miss Rachel too. So, I'm very appreciative to both of them.
I think
And
there's your,
thank you for having me today.
by the way, Rachel, there's your pull quote, unless Lori can top it. Lori, final thoughts to anybody who's sitting on the fence right now.
Well, I think if you're on the fence post, call Joy, call myself, email us.
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to give you, some information and share the successes and, all of the things that they helped Ogden newspapers, present to their clients. I echo again what Joy says. I mean, I can't say enough about the care, the response time. You hear back from them within that business day. So any challenge you have, whether it's Zachary jumping in on the back end, they're always there for you and they'll help you help your client.
Lori, pop your email address in chat before we say goodbye.
I sure will.
Thank you to our panel. Thank you to our audience. And thank you, of course, for your support of E&P by attending this webinar. We work hard in supporting the industry. And when you support our advertisers, man, it just all works together. And Rachel and Kat, keep up the good fight. Thanks all. And
Thank you.
Bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.